Here we go. That's a tall bike. All right. Let's give it a go. Ooh, very light clutch. Oh, look at that sound. It's a proper twin. Alrighty. Ooh. Ooh, that's a big bike. Yeah, it's definitely a big bike. Alright, okay. Here we go. Yeah, that feels a bit lighter than my XSR. So, very first impressions. The bike is very nimble. The clutch is very, very light. To the point where it feels very much like the wire is broken or something, but it's definitely there. So, yeah, it pulls on pretty much any gear, which is definitely a good thing. The throttle response is still jerky, I think. It's been reported from the very first days of the release, and I believe CFMoto fixed that with the software update. Although I haven't tested this bike when it was released, so I don't really have anything to compare with. But comparing to my XSR, that feels jerky. Yeah, the throttle response. Sitting position is okay. For taller people, like 6 feet and up, I would say you would definitely benefit from the roller seat, and that's what I'm considering. Yeah, it dives whenever you switch the gears because of the throttle response. Oh, here we go. See, dive, jump, dive, jump. And that's just a very minimal throttle twist. I think there are some workarounds how to get it a bit more smooth. Yeah, I need to kind of get used to that jerkiness. Pulls, nothing crazy, but pulls. Certainly no much to my XSR 900, but hey, it's like nearly 3 times less horsepower, but still can pull. The dash panel is absolutely great. It's very easy to read. It's very informative. All the information is distributed very well. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you get used to it, it was a very nice bike. It's sort of like a no rush, take your time bike. It has enough horsepower to go on such type of roads. The motorway should go right, but I would imagine that it's going to be a bit of a struggle to go motorways all the time. Slippery part, here we go. Handled that brilliantly. And as many people say in their reviews, no engine shaking or vibration whatsoever. Suspension is alright. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just comparing that with my bike. Well, let's see how it pulls. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you get used to it, it's a very nimble bike. Like, it's very maneuverable. It feels very much like it weighs nothing. That's some tricky part of the road with leaves and all that stuff. I wonder if the ABS gonna kick in at some point. So far it feels and looks good. Gosh, look at that sound. So, my first impressions. The bike is actually really nice. It handles very easy. It's very nimble. It's light. As soon as you get used to it, the ergonomics, the weight, distribution, the throttle response. The throttle response is, I think, is still the problem really. There are a few things which can be done about that throttle response, jerkiness of the throttle response. But yes, I mean, you can definitely notice that, especially as whenever you just sit first time on a bike. You might probably get used to it after some time, but as I said, there are a few things which you can do to smoothen that jerkiness. A part of that, it's a lovely bike. Looks great, feels great, pulls really well. Especially if you're cruising or traveling on a smaller speed, like 30, 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. It's no problem at all for this bike. 70, I haven't tested that on the 70 miles per hour speeds because I need to go to the motorway for that. But I would imagine it's quite capable for doing that as well. Maybe not the best bike for doing motorway miles all the way along, but then again, that's 450. It's very surprisingly, it is capable for doing all that stuff in one package, really. So, and oh yes, the sound. Everyone mentions that thing. This sound is incredible indeed. Really good sound. Straight out of the box, and you're hardly going to need to replace that thing at all. That's how great that sounds. The engine power delivery is good, very linear. Again, if I can't figure out something to do with that throttle response, then it's very nice, very smooth power delivery. Suspension, I don't have much experience in different suspensions, so I don't really know much difference, but it feels alright. At least for me, that feels just fine. I didn't do any off-road on this bike. That's just a very quick, simple test, just to feel the bike, to see the bike in person, and I should say a bit about the build quality. Again, the first impression, but yeah, all the materials, all the connectors, all the welding looks really, really good. I can't really find a single spot which I wouldn't like, material or build quality wise. Paint is good. This plastic doesn't feel cheap. It's actually, this part is a very good quality plastic. Brakes are okay. It was enough for me for that short ride. How that's gonna behave in a longer term, I don't know. But yeah, again, that's the first impression. And yeah, part of that throttle response, I can't really say anything bad about that bike, really. It's surprising how capable is this cheap, reliably small bike is. Although it's not very small though. So, right. Let's hit the road and get this bike back. Right. Oh, come on. Here we go. Alright. Ready to go. Gosh, the more I ride this bike, the more I'm getting used to it, the more I like the sound of the exhaust. That's quite a steep, slippery hill, and it does that just fine. No issues whatsoever. Here we go. It's another one. Right, so by any means, I'm not an expert in motorcycles. I own just one motorcycle, and the current one I have is the XSR 900, and I ride it for. Oh, here we go. I just stalled. Right, let's let this car pass through. A bit more throttle. Here we go. Right, so I'm not a bike expert by any means, as you could probably understand already. I just compare that with my existing bike, and I've done a few longer trips on my XSR 900 for the past few years, and I find that bike very good for a shorter ride, but it's not as comfortable for longer rides, longer distance rides, because of the sitting positions, because of the knee angle. After a few hours of ride, I can feel my ankles very, very sore. So I was looking at the Tenere 700 for quite a few years, and they improve this bike every single year, getting it better, making it better and better. But the biggest drawbacks on the Tenere 700, in my opinion, is that, well, first of all, it's fairly expensive. It's around 11,400 for the Raleigh edition with a good suspension, whereas this bike is twice as less money. The second thing, Tenere is very tall bike, like extremely tall. I'm 6 feet and I tippy toe on that bike, so it doesn't give you much confidence sitting on that bike and maneuvering that bike on a smaller speeds and in more tricky areas, where this one is very nimble, very light, with a lower center of gravity, it feels like, so at least, and the lower sitting height. And for me, this bike feels a bit too low. It can be improved. The sitting position can be improved with the Raleigh seat. It makes the sitting position higher, so it's not a problem at all. What else? Oh, another thing. Tenere 700 has tubes in the wheels, which is great for if you are traveling around the world and you're in the middle of nowhere, like in the desert, and you got a puncture, or even ripped your wheel, and you can fix it. It's gonna take some time, but you're definitely gonna be able to fix it on the go and get to the point where the wheel can be fixed properly, or replaced. This bike does have tubeless tires, which is great for more occasional issues like the puncture, the nail or screw puncture, where you can use the repair kit and fix the tire on the go fairly quickly, which is for such people as myself who's not very deep into the extreme travel, but just occasional off-road, might be the better option, really. And but yeah, after all, let's admit just that fact that people talk about this bike, people review this bike, and people compare this bike with Tenere T7, which is not even the same class of the bikes. T7 is around 700cc, and this one is 450. The horsepower difference is nearly twice as much in Tenere. Yet still people compare these two bikes, and as internet call the CFMoto 450 MT, it got a nickname in the internet as a baby Tenere, and honestly it feels very much like a baby Tenere. It's capable in all aspects as its bigger brother, but it's lighter, it's less power, it's way cheaper, like twice as cheap, and yeah, I guess the bigger question for people is the reliability of this bike, because the same Yamaha Tenere T7 is just the iconic bike from the reliability perspective. That's the bike you can take around the world and you can be 100% sure that's not going to let you down, that's not going to break somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Whereas this bike, first of all, It is already labeled as a Chinese bike, so that's a lot of stereotypes around this. Second thing, this bike been released just last year, and it's still not enough time to understand how reliable is this bike. So far, I haven't heard many significant issues people got with this bike. There are a few things like the throttle jerkness, which can be sorted to some degree. A few different options. Then, pardon me. The rear wheel bearings. Some people say that they got screwed after as little as 3,000-4,000 kilometers or miles, and oh yes, the underframe tubes, the metal ones, they get water in and the water stays there. So, but all that stuff was pretty much related to the first release of the bikes a year ago. My understanding, the majority of these things have been sorted by the manufacturer for the later releases. So I noticed that on this bike specifically, there are already drilled holes in the subframe to let the water out of the tubes. So my understanding, they do that now from the factory. There are lots of accessories on this bike already, so you can put wherever you want, and these are relatively cheap. So I guess this bike would be really good for someone like me who has a zero experience in off-road riding but would like to give it a go, give it a try, not going full on crazy on the off-road, because for that matter you would need a different type of bike, like enduro sort of bike, lighter and more nimble. The benefits of this bike though is that it's a capable bike to do pretty much everything on relatively average level. Like, it can do the motorways, not the best bike for motorways, but it can do that. It can do the off-road, and it does that really well. It can do the minor roads, the back roads, which this bike, I believe, is best in doing. And if you're like me, you like travel on the bike for longer trips, but trying to avoid the motorways and that sort of things, yeah, I think that's a really good option. I'm certainly going to consider this bike for my future trips. go.